So I have folded the fabric for my hand-spun, hand-woven tote bag, and I threw in that little sample strap that I had woven as well. Now it's time to evaluate these fabrics and figure out the next steps for construction of my tote bag. The first thing I want to point out about actually about both fabrics is it took 3 cycles through the towel cycle of my washing machine to get any real shrinkage this time. I took out the fabric after the first attempt and it looked like nothing had happened. So I threw it in again and something had happened, but it was still not nearly enough. And that third time was the charm. Everything just went whoosh. And it is not possible at this exact moment, see how close we can get in, you cannot tell the warp and weft yarns from each other, even in this white spot where it would be easiest to see them. They have fully meshed together. And notice too that the look of this gray, where I was using the Valet weft and the Anna Runes warp, I love the way this looked. I'm really, really pleased with the way this entire fabric has turned out, and I'm ready to turn it into a bag, almost ready to turn it into a bag. The other thing I want you to notice is that my strap, which was 28 inches long before I threw it in the washing machine, shrank unevenly as I feared it would. It's smiling at me. And when I measured this, it's 16 inches at the long edge and 15 and a half inches on this shorter edge, which is why it's curving like this when I try to lay it flat. It is conceivable that I could try to replicate this slight curve on the full length strap, which I need to be about 36 inches. Uh, and then I could turn it into a design feature, but it seems a little unlikely. So after I go through my stash and make some decisions regarding my cotton yarns, I'm probably going to go ahead and inkle weave a black strap, maybe just a plain black strap, to go with this bag. But it was a good exercise. And I want to mention something else. After the fold fabric comes out of the washing machine and it's still damp, you do have a little bit of play within the fabric and you can stretch it out. So if I had noticed this right away, I probably could have stretched it into an equal length on both edges. Um, but I'm not convinced that that is really what I want to try for the final product. Also, it shrank a little unevenly, and I think this was because of my really sloppy selvages. It's not the same width all the way across. There are variations in width that I just don't love. But this is how we learn, and I'm not going to toss this because I might still be able to use it for the bottom of the bag. So let's measure the finished main fabric before we do anything else, and let's see where this takes us. And yes, I did write down my measurements before I put it in the washing machine, which makes me very happy. So between my headers, I've now got a finished length of 30 and a half inches ish, 31 inches. And again, there's some variation. Things did not shrink evenly, which was about what I was going for. I wanted 32 inches wide so I would have a little wiggle room, and I'm well within spec. And 12 inches wide, woo, perfect here. And then 13 inches wide, and then 13 and a half inches wide, 13, 13. So again, things shrink unevenly, and I could try soaking the fabric, just getting it wet and stretching it out some more. But I think a more reasonable approach to this is going to be to use this edge, which is fairly straight. It's straight enough for my purposes as the top edge of the bag, and then just seam straight across and cut off. It's kind of like making a pie crust. You cut off the wiggly edges so nobody ever knows that they existed. So this turned out to be pretty much the measurements I wanted, which is fantastic. Uh, I can easily get an edge, and in fact, where this top edge is not perfectly straight, I can probably still get away with uh, cutting across. And I might just do a decorative finish just for yucks. It would be decorative, but very, very subtle, just sort of a blanket stitch along this top edge, just to make sure that even after it's cut, nothing ravels. So that is all turning out, wow, pretty much as I'd planned. Color me surprised. The next thing I want to show you about this bag fabric is these weird little, I don't know if this is soap, detergent left over. I don't know what it is, but I have got the tool for that. Let me back this out a little bit. Uh, I have owned this for years. It's called a gleaner, and it comes with different heads. It's meant for removing pills from knitted fabric or fur from your furniture, which is, I think, why I really bought it. But it's also going to work beautifully, and you get little heads in different finenesses for different types of knitted fabric for removing pills. But this is going to work perfectly for just kind of clearing up whatever that white fuzz is. And it might just be that the valet black nose did something, but I actually think it's little ends of soap. I use those cool detergent sheets, and I think that the fabric here was right at the bottom of the machine with towels and comforter and stuff on top of it. So it might just have gotten a little too close to the soap powder strip, and that's what's causing the issue. But it's super easy to just glean away and get some of that removed. Also, if I wanted less fuzz, this would be the tool to use to get rid of some of that fuzz. So my next steps are going to be to figure out what I want to do for the strap and make the strap. And then finally, I will be able to go to the sewing machine, run a few tests right along the edges to make sure that I can still get my sewing machine needle through two thicknesses of this fabric and start constructing the bag. Maybe with a bottom, maybe not. We're just going to have to see. And I already mentioned how long this was. Okay, it's 15 inches long. So yeah, if I wanted to sew a bottom into the bag, this could work perfectly. We'll just have to see. But yeah, so I'm like 90% of the way there. This project has taken forever, but I've learned so much from every step, and I kept records. Not always the greatest records, but some kind of record, so that I have a sense now of how I might want to make a similar bag in the future. So I will show you the finished bag when my Odyssey is finally completed. Wow, I really do feel like Odysseus traveling for 20 years to make one simple tote bag. But we're almost there. We're almost home, Penelope. Get ready. See you soon.